Joining us now, Sheriff David Clarke, America's Sheriff. He's also a senior advisory board member with We Build the Wall. And the sheriff and I are going to be in El Paso, July 25th, 26th, and 27th for the big push down there. Hey, Sheriff, great to have you, man.
John, it's great to be on with you, and good morning to your listeners.
Tell me about our event, July 25th, 26th, and 27th in El Paso.
Well, it's still being planned, but we're going to have a conference, so to speak. We're still trying to spread the word nationally about what we're trying to do to raise not only interest, but knowledge about how things can get done. We are actually doing what the federal government has been incapable or unwilling to do, and that's seal the border. So the more attention that we can get nationally, and we highlight El Paso down by, it's actually on the border of New Mexico and Texas, Sunland Park, New Mexico. We highlight that because we actually built a section of the wall. We closed a gap used by human smugglers, used by drug dealers to cross from Juarez, Mexico into the United States. Juarez, Mexico is one of the most dangerous cities along the Mexican border. It's controlled, like most of the Mexico's northern border, our southern border is controlled by drug cartels.
The effort in El Paso, and a lot of people have been asking me this question, so I just want to get, I had Bannon on earlier at 7 o'clock, and they're saying, okay, so you have this WeBuildAWall.us, so you build a couple miles of it, but then you can't build it on federal land, you can't do this, you can't do that. So they're like, it's not really a model because it only works when you have private property, the owners agree, you get the city council to do it, and they're like, I mean, what difference does it really make if you don't have a 600-mile wall? Respond to that, please.
Well, it makes a huge difference because there's existing wall down where we built, but they left a gap in there. The Army Corps of Engineers told the government that section was unbuildable. You wouldn't be able to build a wall. There's a little bit of a steep climb there, but we got it done. Better specs, quicker and cheaper than the federal government did. So the thing is you identify these areas. Much of this, especially in Texas and New Mexico, these are private property landowners whose land is being ravaged by the ills of illegal immigration, and the federal government's unwilling to help them. So it's making a huge difference in their lives. You know, I've been down just to El Paso several times, been to the Big Bend sector as well as the Rio Grande Valley sector. And I've talked to a lot of the landowners down there, and they're under siege. They know it, and there's not much, that like I said, the federal government's willing to do for them. So it is making a difference. And I tell people all the time that ask me, Sheriff, what can I do? How can I make a difference? And I tell people all the time, you make a difference changing one person's life at a time. That's how you make a difference. Very few of us are ever going to be one of the greats that changes the world, right? Like a Gandhi, like a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We're not going to be able to do that, but we can make a difference in somebody else's life. And so that's what we're doing, securing the United States, protecting the sovereignty of the United States. This is the effort of the American people. It is our responsibility. It is, the federal government's responsibility, but they're neglecting it. So then American citizens have to step up to help other Americans.
When you look at this situation, another big aspect is is it not true that you're showing the federal government that there is a way to get this done effectively and efficiently? Because for the wall that you're building, it's better, it's constructed better, you can see through it, it's got all the criteria, and you're building it at 1/7 the cost. So why wouldn't the federal government look at that and say, hey, how are we getting this done?
Politics. That's why the federal government will not move on this. This thing, as you know, and your listeners know, it's in the realm of politics now, and nothing gets done in the realm of politics. You just have a lot of yelling back and forth, a lot of lip service, a lot of finger pointing, right, and posturing for political purposes. They're looking for, each side is looking for political leverage. That's why the federal government won't get this done. And there's no accountability for it. Think of all of the either U.S. senators or U.S. representatives that don't live along the border. They're not worried about this. There's no accountability to them from their constituents for not getting something done on the border. If you're a congressman, congresswoman from, let's say, North Dakota or or Connecticut. There's no accountability for not getting anything done at the border. But the problem is what the people in Connecticut, North Dakota, and Wisconsin and Missouri need to understand is that this stuff, as it comes across, the human smuggling, the sex trafficking, the illegal drugs, the fentanyl, the opioid that come across the border, it's not staying in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. That is where it's coming in, but that is not where it's staying. It's then being filtered throughout the rest of the United States. So there's not a state in this country, John, you know this, that doesn't have an opioid problem. It's a crisis. So every state in this country should have an interest in sealing that border to make it more difficult for these dangerous, deadly drugs to get in. And so this is why, in part, we're having this conference, to say these sorts of things, to get the American people to understand, yeah, hey, I live in Indiana, far away from the border, but heck, we got an opioid problem here in this city, and that's where it's coming from. Yeah, we need to get involved in this. We need to make the difference. You know, the Congress continues to talk and pass all this legislation on opioid prevention and whatnot. You know where it should start? At the border.
I don't know until we secure the border how you're ever going to solve this problem. I think I had a candidate running for Congress down there against Will Hurd saying, you know, it's like getting a bunch of towels, and meantime the dam is broken open and you're trying to sop it up. You can't solve it. We're with David Clarke. He's America's Sheriff. You can follow him. Go to americasheriff.com. Let me ask you something. You quit Twitter and went to Parler. You're the first big name to say, Twitter, I've had enough. I quit. Are you going to start a trend?
Well, I hope so. I really do. Every once in a while, I'll drop a tweet telling people if they want to follow my smash mouth politics and commentary, they'll have to do it at Parler. And the handle's the same, at Sheriff Clarke and at Parler, Parler. It's growing. There's going to be some growing pains, so to speak. It's going to take a while to get a critical mass of people over there. But I got tired of Twitter. I got tired of Twitter trying to control my speech. I was saying nothing out of line. They didn't like the fact that I was really laying the wood to liberals and Democrats, especially politicians. And so they would block me if they didn't like something I said because it was effective. I got tired of that.
Right.
No one controls David Clarke's speech except David Clarke. So I decided there's some other platforms. The heck with this. And I encourage your listeners and everybody else, you can stay on Twitter. I quit Twitter, but you could stay on, do both. It's okay to do both. That works, and we'll see how this thing goes.
Sheriff, David Clarke with us. You had a great article in townhall.com. Go to townhall.com. It was really good, too. And I want you to elaborate on it. You said two things in it. We got about 7 minutes. One thing you said was that the Democrats are playing the race card now so loosely, it's like screaming fire in a crowded theater. So I want you to elaborate on that. But then you did a fascinating expose on Kamala Harris. Basically, I'm paraphrasing now, but you're basically saying she's a fraud, or what some of the things that she's been saying has been fraudulent, playing up the race card the way certainly she did in that debate. Can you expand on that, sir? Both of those.
Sure. You know, the Democrats have made identity politics and race politics a key strategy in their platform to try to win in 2020. And so they try to make a race issue out of everything. And what it's designed to do is to energize the black vote in the United States. Without the black vote, Democrats are sunk nationally. They cannot win a presidential race. It's going to be hard for them to win some of the national state races, the federal state races. And so, you know, they need to gin up the black vote. So they bring this up. That's why this issue with the Democrat clown show over there, the presidential nomination, they bring up things like criminal justice reform. They bring up things like voter suppression. They bring up things like racially motivated gerrymandering. It's all a myth. It's all a lie. Look, gerrymandering is very politically powered politics. That's all it is. So they gin this up to bring out the black vote. In the case of Kamala Harris, Harris' mother's from India and her father's from Jamaica. Nothing wrong with that. That's great stuff. Okay, she led a pretty good life growing up. She does not share the black experience, but now she's trying to, for political purposes, pass herself off as being African American. I don't really care if she does or not. I don't get into that sort of nonsense back and forth. Is somebody black or they're not black? But the thing is, other people have brought it up, and the race card's been played against them. Where if they bring something like that up, that she doesn't share the black experience, how she passed herself off as that. She's actually a Jamaican American, if she wants to be, or Indian American. Her mother's from India. But she can call herself whatever she wants, but she's not going to pull that crap on me, try to pass herself off as something she's not for political purposes. So bringing it out, it's not racist. It's not racist at all. She should embrace her Jamaican heritage. She should embrace her heritage from India on her mother's side. But no, she's flocking over. She's got to improve her black bona fides, okay, in order to get the black vote. Otherwise, she can't play the Obama thing and, I'm black. So she runs to Al Sharpton. She's doing all these things. She's pandering. Well, I don't like that stuff. That's the stuff I'll point her out for doing, not whether she's African-American or Jamaican-American, but that she doesn't share those experiences. And running to Al Sharpton is insulting. So I point out the game, that's like call her a fraud, the game she plays trying to pass herself off as something she's not. She was a very tough prosecutor in San Francisco. She was very tough on crime as an AG in California. Now she's running from that. She was very hard on the black crime situation in California. That's good stuff. She should embrace that. But now she says, well, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I went too far. John, I don't like people like that. I'm just pointing it out for the American people. They need to know who Kamala Harris is, because I don't think she knows who she is.
I'd say it was a really great piece, and you can read Sheriff Clarke's expose on this. Go to townhall.com. That's townhall.com, and I would tag him on it because, Sheriff Clarke is able to write things that a lot of other people would be scared to do. It's very plain speaking, and so go to townhall.com. And that I thought your analysis, Sheriff, on Kamala Harris was really the best I've seen so far of anybody. And I read a lot of stuff, obviously, the business I'm in. And the title of his piece was Democrats Enjoy Yelling Fire in a Crowded Theater. But then he goes on to talk about, the fact that Kamala Harris basically is full of crap. I mean, I'm just summing it up for you. And then, the whole busing thing. I mean, here's a lady that, her father was a college professor of economics at Stanford, and she went to high school in Montreal. So even that is kind of nonsense when you look at it. And I think your analysis was spot on, Sheriff, as it always is, and thank you for that. All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the end of July. Sheriff David Clarke, thanks for being with us, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you. America Sheriff, go to americasheriff.com. I'll be right back. Stay with us.